Good morning, Sorcery fans. Welcome to my very first Dragonlord deck tech and discussion video. Today on the channel, we're going to take a look at the newest Dragonlord avatar that comes in the Dragonlord mini set from Sorcery Contested Realm. These sets debuted at Gen Con 2025 this year. The boxes sold out rather quickly due to the rare foil cards randomly inserted inside the boxes. Luckily, the non-foil cards are still affordable and available on eBay and TCG Player if you want to pick up some cards and brew along with us. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm a Magic the Gathering card collector. I like to go to the Magic Cons, Gen Cons, and SCG Cons to meet up with the artists, have them sign and alter cards from my collection, and then sometimes I'll make videos about those collections. I'm also a casual Magic the Gathering player. I like to play Alpha 40 and Old School. I learned how to play Sorcery last year at MagicCon, and it's a lot of fun. If you're new to Sorcery, it is a grid-based card game, combines elements of Magic the Gathering, playing spells opposite your opponent, and elements of chess, where you use a two-dimensional grid to move around the board state. If you're also looking for learning about Sorcery Contested Realm, you can check out my playlist of deck tech videos, so subscribe to my channel. And I have a playlist of beta pre-constructed deck kits with budget upgrades, and I continued that with Arthurian Legends and using all of the avatars from Arthurian Legends. Today we're going to look at the Dragonlord avatar and also combine cards from Alpha, Beta, and Arthurian Legends into the same deck. Previously on the channel, I stuck to beta cards for the beta decks, and I stuck to Arthurian Legends cards for the Arthurian Legends decks. And at Gen Con, I saw people playing with both Alpha Beta cards and Arthurian Legends cards in their decks. And then when the Dragonlord cards were legal, people could include all three sets in their decks. So that's exactly what I've done today. This is my first multi-set deck that includes cards from Alpha Beta, Arthurian Legends, and Dragonlord. So stay tuned. Like this video if you're interested in Sorcery Contested Realm. Let's take a look at the Dragonlord avatar deck today. If you are one of my 900 subscribers, you've seen my previous videos on Dragonlord. I've shown you all of the 13 cards that are in that mini set. There's the one Dragonlord avatar. There's one Dragonlord's Lair Atlas site. There are 4 multicolored dragons that could be used in multicolored decks. There are 4 monocolored dragons that could be used in monocolored decks. And there are 3 non-color monument and relic dragons that could be used in pretty much any sorcery deck, especially ones that use dragons. So for today's deck building, I went through all of the cards in my collection and I pulled out all of the Alpha Beta cards that refer to dragons, like the East-West dragon. This is an elite dragon that costs 5 colorless and 2 air threshold. It is a 4/4 power toughness that has airborne and moves freely sideways. I also pulled a West-East Dragon Curio, so I'm partial to this card in Sorcery. I pulled a Beta Curio in one of my box openings. I also pulled out the Ancient Dragon, also from Alpha Beta. This is a 7 colorless, 3 fire threshold casting cost. It is a 6/6 power toughness dragon. It has airborne and it taps to deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location nearby. So this is going to be a 2-colored air and fire deck, and mostly airborne deck as well. So a lot of the cards in this deck are going to focus on being airborne. There's a lot of magic spells that deal direct damage to my opponent's minions early on in the game in hopes that I get to cast dragons for a discount and do some major damage later in the game. So let's go through each of these cards in the deck today, starting with the Dragonlord avatar. This is going to be like your commander in Magic the Gathering. It also functions similar to a Planeswalker because it has life total of 20 and some special abilities. Its power toughness is 1, like most avatars in Sorcery, and it is an avatar that commands respect and fear. Its tap ability is to play or draw a site like most of the other avatars. In Sorcery, you have 2 libraries to draw from. You have your spell book and your Atlas sites. You can draw from one of each of those during your turn, depending on which resources you need in the game. And then the Dragonlord avatar's special ability is that before setup, you set aside a unique dragon, which all of the dragons in the mini set are unique rarity. It's the first unique dragon in Sorcery's card game. Alpha, Beta, and Arthurian Legends only had exceptional and elite dragons until now. And so you set that unique dragon aside, and then once on your turn, if you meet the threshold, you may pay 3 colorless mana to gain its abilities this turn. So that'll be important when we discuss which unique dragon we're going to use to go with the Dragonlord. That is going to be the Kairos the Archivist. This is a unique dragon automaton that turns back time. It costs 7 colorless mana and it has 3 power toughness. Its Genesis ability, though, is that when it enters the play, it archives the state of the realm. You just kind of take a picture of where the cards are at. And its Deathrite ability, when it leaves the game, is it returns all archived cards to their recorded state. Then you banish Kairos. So my theory here is that I want to pick a unique dragon that's not going to be necessary in the 60 card deck to winning the game, but it also will enhance the Dragonlord avatar. So I think if I can give my Dragonlord avatar this ability to archive the state of the realm before it dies, if it does die, I could return the archive state to the recorded state and then get rid of Kairos. So that's kind of my plan. I'm thinking maybe when I get to Death's Door, I could use its ability to archive the state, and then if the Dragonlord dies, I could use its ability to return the state of the realm, and then maybe try again, draw a different card, and see if I can escape Death's Door. So now let's look at the cards in the deck. I'm going to go with 40 spells, including the Kairos the Archivist, and 20 Atlas sites. So this will be sort of a casual deck. Most of the tournament decks are either 50-30 and use 80 cards, or they're 60-40 and use 100 cards. So this is designed to be sort of an intro deck using the Dragon avatar. If you want to build a tournament deck surrounding these cards, I encourage you to expand upon this list. Leave me notes in the comments how you would improve upon this deck, and let me know how it does. So starting with some of the air magics, auras, and spells in this deck, I'm going to run 2 copies of the Apprentice Wizard from Alpha Beta. This is an ordinary mortal. You can play up to 4 copies of it. It's a spellcaster, and its Genesis ability is that you draw a spell. It costs 3, it's an air threshold, and a power toughness of 1. Then I'm going to include 2 copies of Blink, which is a really good magic from Alpha Beta. An ally teleports to a location it's nearby, and it draws a card. Very useful. I will include 2 copies of Grapple Shot, which is a very powerful ordinary magic in Alpha Beta. You basically shoot a projectile. If it hits a unit, the ally is dragged to that location and may strike the hit unit when it arrives. Then I'm going to include 4 copies of Lightning Bolt. This goes into the air Lightning Dragon deck very nicely. It costs 2 colorless and an air threshold. It's an ordinary magic, so you can play up to 4 copies of Lightning Bolt, and it deals 3 damage to a random unit at target location. I will also include some exceptional spells, 3 copies of Thunderstorm on the air side of the deck. At the end of your turn, you deal 3 damage to a random unit atop affected site. Then you may move Thunderstorm 1 step, and it lasts 3 of your turns. Now for the dragons, I'm going to include 2 copies of the Elite East-West Dragon, as I mentioned before, from Alpha Beta. It's airborne, so it will be able to get above some of my opponent's minions. I'm going to include 2 copies of the Mix Air. This is an elite potion from Alpha Beta. You sacrifice Mix Air. This turn, your next air spell requires no threshold and costs 3 less to cast. So this will help me get my dragons, my big dragons, in play at a discount. That will be the Adenitum. This is one of the unique air dragons from the Dragonlord mini set. It's a unique dragon that leaves thunder in its wake. It has airborne movement +1. It costs 7 colorless, 3 air, and it is a 6/6 power toughness dragon. Whenever an item stops, she may deal 3 damage to another random unit there, so that's going to be one of my finishers. And then finally on the air side, I'm going to include the Cradle of Ethereum. This is a 2 colorless relic that could be included in probably any dragon deck, and its ability is that anytime during your turn you may look at your next spell, and then you may cast dragons from the top of your spell book here for 1 less. So I'm hoping that I would be able to look at my spell deck, have an east-west dragon, or add an item on the top and be able to cast it for a discount. Mix Air will also let me cast things for a discount, so I'm hoping that I can get some of these out early in the game. Now moving on to the fire side of the deck, I'm going to move Kairos and the Dragonlord down here. We have 4 copies of Incinerate, which is from Alpha Beta. It's an ordinary magic. Costs 5 colorless and a fire threshold. It deals 4 damage to each other unit at target location near the caster or an allied dragon. So you can do this next to one of your several dragons that you have in the deck. And then I'll do the sites last. The next beast I'm going to include is an airborne beast, which will work on many of my sites. It's the Sacred Scarabs from Alpha Beta. It costs 2 colorless and a fire threshold. It's a 1/1 ordinary beast, and its Deathrite ability is that it deals 3 damage to each unit at that site. Next, I'm going to include 3 copies of this exceptional Colicky Dragonettes. It's a 3 colorless mana, 2 fire threshold dragon for 3/3. It has, at the end of your turn, Colicky Dragonettes, they shoot a projectile and deal 1 damage. They don't have airborne, but they are dragons, so you can cast them for a discount using the Cradle of Ethereum. I'm going to include 1 Fireball from Alpha Beta, which is an exceptional magic that shoots a projectile. It deals 4 damage on impact and then 2 damage to each other unit at that location. So these will be very good for getting rid of smaller minions. My first Arthurian Legends card in the set, I'm going to include 3 copies of Fire Breathing. This is an exceptional magic that costs 4 colorless and 2 fire threshold. You may cast at an allied beast or dragon, which is important for this dragon deck. You choose a cardinal direction, north, south, east, or west, and you deal damage to each unit at a location in that area of effect. The unit directly in front will receive 4 damage, and then off to the other sides will receive 1 damage each. And then I have 2 dragons, the Ancient Dragons from Alpha Beta. They're both elite, so you can include 2 copies. They cost 7 colorless and 3 fire, just like most of the dragons in the Dragonlord mini set. It has power toughness of 6, just like some of the other dragons. It has airborne, like some of the other dragons, and you can tap to deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location nearby. I've got 2 copies of the Mix Ignis, just like the Mix Air. This is the fire potion. When you sacrifice Mix Ignis this turn, you may cast your next fire spell for no threshold and 3 less mana. So get those ancient dragons out sooner. I'm also going to include the fire dragon from the Dragonlord mini set. That's the Ignis Rex. 7 colorless, 3 fire. It's a 6/6 power toughness unique dragon with airborne, immune to fire damage. And once on your turn, you discard a fire card. You deal a damage to a unit at target adjacent location. And then finally, the final dragon spell that I'm including in this 60 card dragon deck is the Shrine of the Dragonlord, which is the most expensive non-foil card in the set at about $50. It's the second most expensive foil card in the set at around $600 to $700. It's a unique monument. Its Genesis ability is to teleport all dragons to this location. So I have 2, 4, 7, 8, 9 dragons in the deck to choose from, which is about 25% of this particular deck. And this site also provides an additional 1 colorless mana in any of the threshold. So I'm going to stick to those 2 colors. Here are the sites. that I'm going to include in this deck. Starting with the air sites, I've got about half air spells and half fire spells, so I'm going to construct this deck using about 50% air sites and 50% fire sites. The Dark Tower, Gothic Tower, and Lone Tower are all from Alpha Beta Unlimited. They provide a air threshold, and their Genesis ability is the same. If this is the only Dark Tower or Gothic Tower or Lone Tower you control, you gain 1 extra colorless mana this turn. The next air site that I'm going to include is from Alpha Beta. It is the Mountain Pass. It's an exceptional. You could include up to 3 copies if you wanted to. It's an air site. The minions cannot enter this site on the ground if there's already a minion atop. So my goal would be to put all of my airborne minions on that site. The next site I'm going to include is the Updraft Ridge from Alpha Beta. It's an exceptional site. Minions atop Updraft Ridge have movement +1. Then I'm going to include 1 Watchtower from Exceptional. This is art by Jeff Mangus. Enemy units atop nearby site permanently lose stealth, so this is good defense against any of my opponent's stealth decks. I'm going to include 1 copy of Cloud City. This is a unique site from Alpha Beta, also available in the Dust Rewards alternate art promo foil, but this provides 1 air threshold, and for 3 air threshold, once on your turn, the site may fly to a nearby void, filling an empty space on the board. I also have 3 copies of Ruins, which is the air-fire dual site from Alpha Beta. This will help me get air or fire threshold, whichever I need to get the correct dragon into play. Then for the fire sites, I'm going to include 1 copy of the Arid Desert, Red Desert, and Remote Desert from Alpha Beta. The Genesis ability on all 3 of these is that it deals 1 damage to each minion atop nearby sites. So you can play this next to your opponent's sites that have their 1/1 minions on them and deal damage to them. Next, I'm going to include 2 copies of Poisoned Well. These are exceptional sites from the Arthurian Legends expansion. They provide fire threshold, and the Genesis ability is that enemy avatars lose 1 life for each nearby site they control. So hopefully you cast these to the realm and do some damage to your opponent's avatar. I'm going to include 1 River of Flame. This is an Alpha Beta unique site that provides fire threshold and is a fire spellcaster. I will include 1 copy of Smokestacks of Knack, which is a unique fire site in Alpha Beta. I just love the artwork on this card. And other nearby sites lose their abilities, while this provides you with 1 fire threshold. I'm also going to include an Elite Bottomless Pit. This has no threshold, no element, but whenever a non-airborne minion enters the site, it is banished. So I'm going to hopefully trap my opponent's minions in the Bottomless Pit. And then I can also play the Crossroads, which is an elite site from Alpha Beta. Its Genesis ability is to look at the next 4 sites, and you put 3 of those on the bottom of your atlas. So this will help you kind of scry for the right site you need to cast either the Adenitum Air Dragon or the Ignis Rex Fire Dragon to win the game. And then finally, I'm going to include the Dragon's Lair site. This is a unique dragon site from the mini set. Dragons cast to this site require no threshold and cost 1 less to cast. So ideally, you could cast this with several of your spells out there and get your Adenitum or your Ignis Rex out before turn 7 to help do damage to your opponent. So that, my friends, is my first attempt at creating a Dragonlord avatar deck using 60 Alpha Beta, Arthurian Legends, and Dragonlord cards from Sorcery Contested Realm. Let me know in the comments how you think I did and make any suggestions to this deck to make it a little more competitive. I appreciate all of you for tuning in this week and watching this deck tech video. Subscribe to my channel, check out my playlist of other Sorcery deck techs, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.